All right, hello everyone. Here we are back for some Golf Clash tutorials here, and this is going to cover the Master Tournament. And what you're going to see here, I have the new wind input tool. Here you can see the wind direction. We're going to be playing around with this. We're also going to be going around explaining the new wind model. As you can see, it displays, different directions, display different ring values. So I'm going to pretty much go over how to do that, which is going to kind of require that you start to have a better understanding of how the power slider works. So the first thing that I want to start off is you'll see this power slider. It has a 0 to 100 span. If I was to go to the app, which I'm going to do by holding that down, I'm just going to show you real quick in the help section. Here's min, here's max, and this correlates to this range. 100% is max, and this is min. So I just want to make that distinction, and you're just trying to guess where you're trying to put this thing inside that range. And what's always going to be more important is where you're adjusting to, not where the shot sets up. So wherever you're pulling the target to, that's what the distance you use every time. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get in here. So for instance, where are you going to be pulling the target to on a drive, for instance? It's probably always going to be max. So we'll probably use the max number for drives. But as far as precision shots, you're always going to be moving rings to count. Moving those rings are going to influence how our ring model works. But you'll also notice that the new ring model is far more accurate than it ever was previously. So with that being said, let's just kind of get into this, and we'll go over some examples using the Golf Clash holes as demonstrations. Let me first set up my correct bag, which is this one. And take a look here. So we had a Paris tournament before. I think it was the Metro Open. And this is a relatively similar wind. What I tried to do before was kind of hop it from here over to here with a lot of hook. It looks a little bit more into the face. So one of the things that you can do ahead of time is you can set your wind direction ahead of time. So I can get this in, and also notice how I hold here and I pull away from the screen. So that's one of the first things that you'll see me do. And that'll help me get it just a little bit more precise when I go to input. Now it's not going to save, as you can see, but what I can do is I can pull it back up. And if I want to retweak it, I can. And you'll see that it'll put in a new ring value, and I can just save that value. So as far as the drive goes, as I mentioned, we're always going to pretty much be pulling towards max. So you'll just want to go ahead and use your max ring number for max. So let me go ahead. I'm going to turn my grid on. Optional to use, but I like to use it. So here you can see somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 rings. I'm also going to need quite a bit of curl, if you could see. And I also needed to extend into power. So let's see if I put enough curl on this or not. Looks close, not quite. But you can see that it's going to put me in an okay position. One thing that you will want to worry about is how much you're going to get run out wise. Because the run out there will kind of dictate how much your shot is going to be running out towards the hole there and towards that bunker. So that bunker is in play, this long one back here. So you will just want to kind of gently hit it into that other fairway with the second bounce, as opposed to just kind of blasting it as full, as hard as I can. So that's why you didn't see me doing that. So let's take a look here. You know that the wind is going to shift angles a little bit. I'm going to put my B52. Now this one tends to always play uphill. So, you know, I'm going to need some kind of negative adjustment. There I'm going to put in -10. And here you can see, as I mentioned, the wind does shift in this direction. And I forgot to put my direction on, but you'll see somewhere in the neighborhood of 12.7 at max. But you'll need to be thinking about where you're pulling to. You'll scan this range. However, since I'm moving over to the side, it's really not going to change my distance. So you'll see somewhere in here, I'm going to go right around 10 rings. I'm not going to even touch the spin and just kind of see. Now, one of the things that I'll want to factor in is wind effect. So you're going to see that I'm just going to offset it just a slight before I go these 10 rings, because I need to still consider secondary wind effect. So let's just see how this looks for a start. And it looks pretty good. You can see that it comes in very, very close. Might just need just a little bit more wind effect. But more or less, there's your first hole. And as I mentioned with that power slider, just make sure that you're using the distance that you pull to, not where you start pulling rings. Every time. That never changes. However, in a side wind, what happens? I end up pulling to the side. So my distance stays the same. So whether you use the start or stop position in a side wind technically doesn't matter. However, it's the only isolated case because I'm not pulling north and south. So just